After Jurgen Klopp announced at the end of last season that he was leaving Liverpool, it seemed that difficult times were ahead for the club, since over the 9 years that the German had been managing the team, all processes had already been tailored to him, and, in fact, Klopp was the foundation of the project, without which the Reds seemed likely not only to fall, but also to plunge into a deep crisis. In addition, the figure of his successor added to the doubts, because even legends such as Robbie Fowler and Michael Owen said that they did not know who Arne Slot was and considered his appointment a big mistake, but the Dutchman's merit should be said that he managed to very quickly change attitudes towards himself today. Liverpool is the brightest team not only in the Premier League but also in the Champions League, which many consider to be the main favorite in the fight for titles this season. Jurgen Klopp's career stage in Liverpool will certainly be written in gold letters in the history of the club, because it was the club that was able to return the Reds to the top of English football and also achieved great success in Europe by winning the Champions League in the 19th year. A bright attacking style of play with high pressure became the personification of the club's team, which sometimes did not notice the opponent and could give the fans a goal extravaganza. However, in recent years, Liverpool have not been going through the best of times and largely remained in the shadow of Pep Guardiola's Man City. But when Klopp announced his departure, this news came as a shock to Liverpool fans. However, if you look rationally, this decision was the only right one, because the bug by this time was already emotionally devastated, and the wind of change set a new task for the management, namely, not just to find a replacement for the German, but also to give new impetus to the entire project as a whole. As a result, on the 22nd of June, it was announced that the successor to the bug would be the Dutch specialist Arne Slot, who had previously proven himself well at the helm of the Fairies of the Feyenoord. At the first press conference, Slot said that he would not radically rebuild the team, but on the contrary, would continue the vector of development that was laid by Klopp. However, in the press, many experts were very wary of this appointment. I think Slot may lack authority and experience with big players. Nevertheless, the Dutchman managed to very quickly create an atmosphere of unity in the locker room that allowed them to relieve the team of pressure, and as a result, the restructuring process went unnoticed. Contrary to expectations, Liverpool started the season very smoothly, and from the first matches showed their worth both in the Championship and in the Champions League. But despite Slot's words that he would continue the Bugs line, it was still clear from the first matches that the team had changed its style, and gradually began to transform according to the requirements of the new coach. In this context, it is worth saying that Slot got a very cast squad that Klopp had been forming for many years. It should be noted that this summer, Liverpool showed complete indifference to the transfer market, signing only the Italian Federico Chiesa. In fact, Slot is working with the same selection of players that were last season, while the team game pattern has noticeably changed. And here I would like to look at the main aspects of the game that Slot has changed this season. Firstly, the most noticeable fact and the starting point of the team's restructuring was a more reliable game in defense. Because Dutchman changed the role of the wing players, Liverpool had a decrease in the number of gaps, and, as a result, in the defensive phase, the team maintains its structure, not allowing the opponent to break into free zones. For a better understanding, let's consider the role of the flank players. If under Klopp, Robertson and Arnold created width and went to the wing, now, on the contrary, they narrow the line and fill half space. What's the purpose of this? The answer is very simple. To create opportunities in the center of the pitch to control the ball and form a build-up to quickly get from defense to attack. It's interesting when, controlling the ball in their half, Liverpool begins to provoke pressing, which forces the opponent to rise high, and as a result, the Reds easily cut off the line with a long pass, thus freeing up space for quick breaks of free zones, where guys like Salah, Diaz and Gakpo fill the space and literally tear their opponent apart. But perhaps the team has achieved the most obvious progress in defense. Slot managed to find the necessary balance and, unlike previous times, Liverpool no longer fails its zones and has reduced the number of gaps. If you remember the temporary Klopp, Liverpool always high pressing, fast attacks which inevitably led to breaks, and as a result, after losing the ball, it was easier for the opponent to break into free zones and score goals. However, Slot fundamentally revised the game in defense, and the statistics of this season confirm this, where at the moment Liverpool, with 2 goals conceded, is the best defense in the Premier League. As I said earlier this season, the team changed its style of going into attack precisely due to control of the ball. He is given to maintain the structure in defense, which reduces the number of failures and makes it much more difficult for the opponent to break through to the goal of Liverpool. In addition to everything, this season, Gravenberch has revealed himself in a new way, who in the formations of the slot plays the role of not only a breakwater, but also a connecting link in the center of the field. He very skillfully ensures Arnold, who constantly runs into attack, and also superbly burns the center of the field, being essentially a balancing link between attack and defense. If we take Liverpool's game as a whole, then, in my opinion, Slot managed to transform the team while maintaining the attacking style of Jurgen Klopp. Therefore, it is important to note that the restructuring was painless due to the fact that the coach did not break what was built before him, but on the contrary, polished the weak points and brought fresh ideas to the team, eventually resulting in an excellent result. And today, the whole world admires the game of Liverpool. If we consider this story in the context of Klopp's long stay at the helm of the team, then the example of Liverpool is indicative, since we have already witnessed the same situation with Manchester or Arsenal, where after the departure of Ferguson and Wenger, the clubs plunged into a crisis for many years, which, by the way, has not ended in Manchester to this day. But as for the Reds, they managed to very smoothly go through the restructuring process, and the departure of Klopp did not become, as many expected, a tragedy for the club. Even the players themselves note Slot's ability to build relationships within the team, find an individual approach to each player. In an interview, Virgil noted that when Slot came to the team, he built everything from the first day. He listens to the opinions of the players and tries to find optimal solutions to reveal the best qualities and potential of the squad. In addition, his detailed analysis and deep understanding of tactics lead to the fact that before the game we understand 90% how our opponent will play. Therefore, in the game we are already ready to take the initiative into our own hands and implement the ideas of the coach on the football field. In the English press, many experts note how successfully Slot manages to realize his opponent's weaknesses and how he skillfully changes his game during the match, which speaks not only of the flexibility of the coach, but also of his reaction to the events happening on the football field. As an example, we can recall the match with Southampton, when thanks to competent substitutions, Slot slightly changed the role of Salah, who subsequently made a double and got a strong-willed victory for the Reds. There are a huge number of such examples that can be recalled, and as Slot himself noted, the reaction of not only the players on the field, but also the coach on the sideline is very important in the game. Therefore, timely decisions lead to victories in difficult matches, and as a result, it is difficult to find negative aspects in the work of Slot today to a great triumph. Yes, there is no point in doing this since the team is on the move and literally rolls over its opponents both in the Championship and in the Champions League. Perhaps some of you are writing this for fart or luck, but the fact remains a fact in matches. Even with their defeat, Liverpool confirms their level and rightfully bears the status of one of the brightest European teams of this season. Of course, the defining moment will be the winter period, which should show the real potential of Liverpool in the fight for trophies. But now, we can say with confidence that Slot will not only transform Liverpool, but also return the team to the path of success. But whether it will lead them to trophies, only time will tell.